Good morning. Raise your hand if you want more snow. Let's try that again. Raise
Careful
your
what you
hand
ask
if
for.
you want more snow.
That's why we live here.
Okay, James, did you take names of who won?
Yeah, we won't cut their water off.
Y'all heard it. You heard it. Good morning, y'all. Thank y'all for coming on this non-rainy day, and we love it. We're going to start our meeting with our invocation, and Miss Kathy Turner has graciously agreed to present our invocation, and we will remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm going to read a verse, Proverbs 2, 6 through 10. For the Lord grants wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He grants a treasure of common sense to the honest. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity. He guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to him. Then you will understand what is right, just, and fair, and you will find the right way to go. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will fill you with joy. In the name of Jesus Christ, and in the name of one great God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to start the agenda. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our January 7th and 9th meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion or questions? I assume you all had a chance to review these minutes since they were in your council packet. So we'll call for the vote. All of those who approve, say by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, they're passed. Because I was told we have to go fast today, so I'm going to talk real fast, and that's not easy for me. Can y'all listen fast? Okay, even if you want snow, you can listen fast. Adoption of the agenda. I need to have a motion to amend the current agenda to include under item 9. We need to add 3 additional committees and committee chairpersons for approval. Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All right, call for the question. All in favor? Say by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No? Good. All right. Yes, I am. I'm keeping a secret until I get to them. Mayoral remarks. First of all, I think you have figured out we're missing 2 people up front. One's out of the state and one's out of the country. And I hope they have a good time, but they will pay for missing this meeting. Thank you again, James, to all your Public Works guys for clearing the snow again. Hopefully you will not be mixing brine in your sleep. How many gallons did you use last night?
This last week we used 10,000 gallons.
10,000 gallons. That's a lot of salt water, isn't it? And you did a wonderful job. You did it quickly and efficiently, and we appreciate you doing that. All right. Do you all get free coffee while you work all night? Do you want
We
it?
don't have time.
I want to thank all the City Hall ladies who work extremely hard every day. They accept gifts, is that correct? But thank you all. I know it. You didn't hear that, did you? No, okay, good. Do I have any councilmen who wish to make exciting announcements or comments? Okay, no exciting comments. So now we will go to the city manager's report.
Okay, to give you a few updates on what's going on. The Public Works Department, depending on the weather, they've been working on the ditches and they have those 50% complete. That is just removing the leaves and debris at this time. We know we've got some ditches that we're gonna have to actually dig out a little bit more, and they'll be working on that in the spring. The next item I have on my notes was the snow removal, and had already put down the 10,000 gallons of brine that was put out. We have used so much brine this year that we've had to place a second order for solid. We've received confirmation we should be getting that shortly. The guys have also, during the rainy weather, they've been working on some of the equipment in the shop. They've replaced the radiator on the recycle truck, and they also have greased all the equipment to keep it up to date. The other item is, with Jerry being our safety training coordinator, they've done a safety meeting and they did housekeeping. And in turn, they've gone in and tried to work on the shop to get it cleaner, and they've been doing a really good job of that. Also, too, there was a couple of trees that were removed during the snow. One was on Alex Mountain and one was on LaBelle. They had to remove those during the storm, so that's something else that I'd like to thank the guys for doing. They worked till 9:30 on snow removal that night. They stayed, no problem. They know when the weather's bad that they're required to do that, and I've not heard one negative comment from them. And I want to thank them for that, because they're really good to help keep our roads clean and safe for everyone that, is up here. The other item that I have, taxes that have been collected. This is the 2019 taxes. We're at 96% of our collection, and to date, that is $878,000 that we've collected. And we hopefully will get most of that in. We always have a few lots that we don't get paid for, but usually we end up at about 99.9%. So we're moving forward in that direction. Past due notices have gone out, and that has allowed a few more to trickle in, like, oh, I forgot. So we are getting some of that. The Sky Valley Times will go out later this week, and we'll be including some more information in that to update people to do different things that we have normally done, than we've normally done. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that that's what we've got going on. And we're always busy, so, but please, as always, if you have questions about something, call me, stop by the office. I'm willing to answer any questions that I can.
The trees on Alex Mountain and LaBelle Circle, they fell into the road?
They fell into the
Ouch.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Are we selling firewood?
Not yet. Keep on, we may need to.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ella. So we should go to new business, which is consider approving the budget amendment resolution 2019 budget. First of all, let me have a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second,
second.
discussions.
This is basically a formality, is that correct?
That is correct, because we have to zero out everything in the general fund budget. Yes, sir.
Okay.
The point being, all the changes and adjustments have been approved previously. by-
Yes, sir.
by
They-
the
yes, sir.
council.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
And the purpose of this is just,
It's bookkeeping.
it's just,
It's bookkeeping,
So
right?
it's-
Because when I do this, what happens is I go into these accounts and they're as close as they can be. So when I send my information to the auditor, she has everything that she needs. She gets a copy of this budget resolution as well, so she can see exactly what the original budget was and what it was at the end.
okay. And are we required to file this with the state?
What happens is that this is part of our audit.
And the audit doesn't have anything to do with the state, it's just us.
Yes, sir,
and
the audit actually is filed with the state every year.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir, it has to be filed with the state. Yes, sir, it is required for government accounting.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments? All right.
And if I understand, we and about a $20,000 in change surplus last year.
Considering all the equipment that we had to replace and all the repair bills that we had, I think that was excellent, considering everything that we had going on last year.
Yeah, we started with a lot of unexpected expenses.
That's correct, yes, sir.
All in favor of approving this amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, our next item is to consider approval of changing the recycling to the same day as garbage pickup. Do I have a motion for this?
I would like to move that we do that.
Second.
All right, now discussion. Possibly it would be good during the discussion, either Ella or James to explain to the people who did not attend our workshop what this means.
I can
Okay, go ahead, Ella.
Looking at the calendar, what this would mean is that instead of having 2 separate days doing garbage collection on Mondays and recycle on Thursdays, we would do it all on Monday. This will eliminate James having to take guys off of his crew on Thursday and give them a full day to be able to do other stuff. And it just makes more sense to do it this way, and that's why we want to do this. And this would, I was looking at my calendar, we could start it as early as Monday. We'll send out notifications and let everyone know it starts the first one in March and move forward, and we'll make that notation in the minutes that it's March the 2nd.
Any comments or questions from the council? Any go ahead.
Just that, I was a little skeptical that we were going to save time. But the big advantage to me, and James, you can comment, Ella, you can comment too, is that instead of having 2 days when James is short-staffed, if he's working on some big projects, he can have 4 days and do it continuously so that he can get it done in the good weather and get it done without delay.
And our citizens can just drag out all their stuff on one day instead of 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, take out, not
I was
drag
a
out.
slow learner. Monday or Thursday or what? Yeah, so.
Do we have any comments or questions from the audience? Please stand, state your name, your blood type, and your address.
Well, she came close. Connie Larson, Alex Mountain Drive. We still have 1 recycling bin we can put out. And what's the size of the trash can we can drag up there?
Normally, they try and do no more, what is it, James, no more than what the 2 smaller in-ground liners are. What are those, about 14 gallon or,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
Usually you get 2 to 3 kitchen size, your regular kitchen trash can bags in them. But now, we do have some that puts 5, 6 bags out, bigger than whatever's there, we'll pick it up. As long as it's out.
I just don't want to put the bags out because
No, it needs to be in a can. We had the issue yesterday, dogs went and poured much out of the. It should have. It should have.
you're talking about a can that's 13 gallons. How big is the trash can? 30 gallons.
Yeah, usually on the roll-up can,
Oh,
usually
okay.
30 gallon can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve Rickman, West Sugar Bush. You mentioned they would start Monday, so we would bypass this Thursday?
No, we'll still do recycle this Thursday, but start next week, everything will be on Monday.
Okay, good, because mine's full.
All right, we'll call for the question. All in favor of approving this, and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That's great. All right, item number 9 is what we changed on the agenda, and is to consider approving committee appointments for the city. As the mayor, I am charged with setting up committees and assigning committee chair people. We have several committees. They are landscaping, and the chairperson is Debbie Dahlhouse Curtis. Special projects is, the chairperson is Bruce Turner. The Sky Valley Watch, is Maureen Platt, and thank you, Maureen, for the town hall meeting. She was ill and could not attend, but how many of y'all attended that? It was very, very well attended and very good. Thank you, Maureen. The Mayoral Advisory Committee is Bill Oliver. Public Works Committee is Moody Barrick, and Marketing is Bob O'Keefe. Do I have a motion to accept these committees and committee chairs?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
We have a discussion on marketing also, but we'll go ahead and approve this and then, we'll go ahead during the discussion. That'd be good. Go ahead.
All right, at the work session, we had discussed this marketing committee that the city is wanting to put together, and y'all had some ideas on it. And I was able to do a little bit of research. We can ultimately do what you aim to do, just not necessarily the fashion that you initially wanted to do.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, sorry. This marketing committee that the city was wanting to put together, we can do that. We can set up some sort of marketing group. It's just got to be a little bit different than how it was initially planned. I did a little bit of research, and there was a Georgia Supreme Court case from 2018 that kind of gave some regulations on how to do this. DeKalb County had set up an ethics committee, and in their ethics committee, they gave power to appoint the members of it to separate groups in their community. I think the Chamber of Commerce got an appointment, the NAACP got an appointment, and so on. And so DeKalb County was sued, and the Supreme Court held that if it's going to be a government entity, the appointments have to come from the government. Private groups cannot have a say in who's going to be each appointment slot on there. Doesn't mean that people from private groups can't be on the committee, it's just that the private groups can't appoint them. So I think the marketing committee that Sky Valley wants to do is fine, it's just that the appointments have to come from the city rather than giving these separate groups the right to nominate whoever they want. So that's the first thing that we can do. I think the second question was, could these private groups or private individuals donate money to help go toward marketing the city? And yes, you can do that. Private people, private groups can donate money to government entities, and they do it all the time. You typically see it more in parks and recreation or city cemeteries or things like that. But in my research, I didn't see anything that would prohibit any private group or private citizen from donating money to the city and then the city turning around and earmarking it for marketing purposes. So I think that would be legal. Yes.
Steve Mason, there wouldn't be any problem with the city council asking for recommendations from interested groups, though, would there?
Correct. Ultimately, yeah. People who serve on this committee can come from these different groups. It's just that ultimately the decision on who's on the committee has to be in the hands of the city. So yeah, that's fine. They can come from these groups.
So, if the timeshares whispers in Holly's ear and she listens and appoints that person, that's legal. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do was to have whoever was appointed have the power to speak for their organization. So does that mean that the timeshares, the POA, would then have to decide, okay, we like the person that Holly appointed, let's give them our organization's the ability to commit our organization?
No, in an official way, and that kind of leads into my next point. The thing that these people appointed to this committee have to keep in mind is that we have an ethics ordinance. And the ethics ordinance says that anybody that's affiliated with the city, which would mean anybody on a city appointed committee, owes first off a duty of loyalty to the city. And so they can't use any information that they gather as part of this committee to enrich themselves in private business. They can't use it to enrich their private organizations and that sort of thing. I don't think there's anything in the ethics ordinance that would flat out prohibit anybody from these groups from being on the city. It's just that they have to keep in mind that whatever actions they take while on this committee have to first and foremost be for the city of Sky Valley, the government entities' behalf, and not for themselves or for any private groups. I think that practically speaking, I don't think there's any decision that's gonna come up on the marketing committee that's gonna, you know, really make an ethical problem. It's just that, just hypothetically, if they wanted to come up with some sort of plan that would enrich themselves or something like that, they can't do that. But that's just, that goes for all y'all too. Anybody affiliated with a government entity can't do that. So anybody that's appointed to this committee, I would just recommend they have a copy of the ethics ordinance to read it over and to always follow that. So, but yeah, back to your question, I mean, I don't think, I mean, these people appointed to the committee are gonna get there and they're gonna talk amongst themselves, and they have to make a decision or a recommendation as a committee. And so I don't know, I don't think they're gonna be able to, if they belong to any individual private group, they're gonna be able to bind that private group or anything like that. I don't think that practically is gonna happen. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's, y'all have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer, but that was kind of what my research showed.
Any other questions?
Yes, so this group, maybe you call it a committee, can we call it a committee?
Yeah, you can call it.
Okay, so you call it a committee, but they have, we can delegate the responsibility to them to collectively, if they decide to do something, they can make those decisions without coming back to the city, or not?
Well, ultimately, it falls back on the council. So this group is gonna get together after they're appointed, and they're gonna discuss, and they can do fact-finding and things like that, and come up with a marketing plan and maybe a spending plan, things like that. But ultimately, any financial authority comes from y'all. Y'all are gonna have to sign off on it. Any bank accounts that this committee has is a city bank account, and y'all are the ones gonna be signing the check. So ultimately, y'all are the ones that have to give the okay on it. You can delegate some authority to this marketing committee, but ultimately, if there's a check being written, y'all are gonna have to sign it, vote on it, and authorize that expenditure.
Any other questions or comments? I talked to Mr. O'Keefe early this morning. He was waiting for a doctor's appointment, so we discussed this while he was in the waiting room, and he is on board with everything that you just explained, Mr. Kidd. Any other questions? All who approve these committees and committee chairs signify by saying aye.
I'm sorry, could you repeat after the first three? Who were the other three?
Are you a slow writer? Okay,
No,
baby.
I'm a bad memory.
Landscaping is Debbie Dalhouse Curtis. Special projects is Bruce Turner. Sky Valley Watch is Maureen Platt. Mayoral Advisory Committee is Bill Oliver. Public Works is Moody Barrick. Marketing is Bob O'Keefe. Questions? Comments? Call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our next agenda item is considering awarding the bid to Smoky Mountain Chrysler, trade-ins, and equipment. And Ella, I'm gonna let you take it. Well, wait a minute, let me do a motion.
Okay.
All in motion of approving this, do I have a motion?
I move we approve.
Second? We'll go to discussion after that. Second?
To approve the purchase?
No, for a motion.
Second.
Okay, now we can go to discussion. Go ahead.
Okay, this is just a continuation of what I had presented in the workshop, for the purchase of the Dodge Durango to replace one of the Subarus that is in bad condition. I had presented you all this information, and request that you all approve this bid from Smoky Mountain Chrysler in Franklin. We've done our due diligence. I actually gave you some more information that is in line with what I had told you at the previous meeting. He just confirmed my prices in writing, so I just wanted to make sure you all have that information as well.
Comments, questions?
At this time, I'd like to table the approval to where we have a little bit more time to, for all the board to look at this and determine is this what we need? And if so, approve it, but,
Well, we have one issue that we need to be made aware of. These bids are normally, I just want to confirm this before I tell you, normally these bids are just good for 30 days.
How much time does that give us, Ella?
That's what I'm looking at now, I have my.
2 days.
Actually, he's saying these bids are only good for 30 days, and he did this on 1/29. So we're fast approaching, it would be March 1st.
Right.
Yeah, I was at that meeting.
May I add some comments? Mayor? And I'm in agreement with Bruce, and if we're up against a time limit, so be it. But, you know, we had some discussion at our last workshop. I think we had some good input from the chief. But there's several areas that I'm not convinced we need to pursue. And one of them is the 360 horsepower Hemi engines versus going with something that's a little more economical. So I want to have some more discussion about that. But I also looked at a little bit of research on the internet, and the pros and cons of the Durangos that we're purchasing. Powerful optional V8 engines, spacious and comfortable, user-friendly, terrible predicted reliability rate, low safety score, slow steering response. So those are things that, you know, while we may be getting a better price, I'd like for us to see the options kind of outlined, so we've got all the different features on each of the optional vehicles, so that we can
Well,
make
as
a
with the
decision.
Durango, we actually already have one of those that's in service and been in service about 6 months now, because that's what Chief has already.
I understand that, but you need to understand, we didn't approve that vehicle, and so I want us to research this a
But
little bit
that's why
further.
when we came to work session that I asked.
May I finish?
Sure.
All right. When I finish, then you can talk. The other thing that's concerning about that vehicle is the efficiency of it. According to the specs on those vehicles, you're getting 14 miles per gallon in the city, 22 on the highway versus 18 if you went with a 6-cylinder. And the 6-cylinder is close to 300 horsepower versus the 360 horsepower with the Henry. So in this, I think we need to spend some time with the chief and the guys that are doing the work. But I'm of the mind that you've got a person speeding up the 1 mile highway that we have. The difference between 300 horsepower and 360 isn't going to be that much when you're chasing people at the speeds that I think Ron has identified. So that's, and I have further comments on the trucks, but I guess we'll wait till we get to that.
Any other
So,
comments?
Alice, feel free to.
There's a gentleman that was here when that came into my office yesterday. Would you like to?
I'm Andy Kingery from 98 Little Bear, and I was involved in the purchase of the Subarus. I advised against it to the last city manager because when
Could
you
you
buy,
tell us why you were in that
I'm
decision?
about to.
Okay.
I retired from SunTrust Bank in Augusta. For 16 years, I did automobile and equipment leasing. I leased fleets of police cars, bulldozers, ambulances, fire trucks, and things of this nature. And I read in the newspaper that the city manager wanted to buy Subarus. So I came up here and I talked to her and I said, you know, when you buy a 4-cylinder car off the showroom floor with no different add-on things on the particular car to make it more efficient to ride around in these hills that we have up here, your return on investment is not going to be good. And I advised her, if she was going to buy these Subarus, to only get 2 of them. And she she told me she wanted 4. And I knew that these Subarus would not hold up. And that she had not done her homework. Now, when I went into the current city manager yesterday, she's done her homework, more so than the last one. I think, used to, Ford had to market on police vehicles. Now this thing is narrowing, and nobody really wants to be in the police car business. But I think your Dodge is probably the best option in today's market. Now, you talk about going from a 360 engine to a 300 engine, that's no problem, because you want to save money with miles per gallon. But I think you kind of backed into a corner with the Subarus you have. And they're not really reliable. I would like to ask you a question. Do you remember the trade-in value that they're going to offer on this Dodge?
I believe it's, this particular one, I believe it was 9,000, let's see.
Okay, you're talking about $9,000.
Well, let's make sure, what,
It is,
I thought I read someplace where it was 15,000.
no, there's nothing I provided that's 15,000.
Because if you look at the NADA, the value of the vehicles, they range from, depending on whether it's wholesale or retail, 13,000 to 15,000.
Well,
But sir, let me just add a little comment, and that might help you with your thinking. Myself, and I'll let the other council members say, but we're totally committed to buying a good, reliable, safe vehicle for our police fellows. They spend their lives in these cars, so they deserve to have something that's comfortable and reliable. So this is not an argument about the Subarus. They need to be replaced,
Right.
and we're fully willing to do that. So
one of the things you mentioned about NADA value, which is a value of your car and your car and your car and your car, not a police vehicle. A police vehicle the value of the police vehicle goes down the drain where NADA is concerned. And that's out the window, really, because
and that's fine. I'm not arguing the point. I think you estimated it would be 9,000, but if that's what they're allowing you, then fine. But the bids that we have here, I can't tell what they're allowing, because they're giving us a net number.
Right. But I think that if they are, in fact, allowing you $9,000 on a used police car that is not in good condition, you might ought to take it. And I'm a taxpayer up here, so, I'm concerned about it. And I'm also concerned about the safety of the police. Because in my mind, we've got a very, very good police department up here. And they do a lot of good things, and
We're totally agree.
as they say in these bumper stickers, I back the blue. But anyway, I think I just wanted to point out a couple of things, and, if you want to go back but, the thing you got to know is, and you already brought it up about the bid being good for 30 days, and the 30 days is fast approaching. So if you're going to go back and redo a bid, then so many times when you redo a bid, price goes up. But maybe you can talk to them and see if they'll give you another bid on an engine that you're talking about. But I would urge you to take advantage of whatever offer they're giving you that's reasonable for a used police car that's not in good condition.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Any other comments from the council?
I have one more comment too, and this is just clarification, but the package that we're putting together in the cars, are we planning on putting cages in both the vehicles?
Yes, sir.
I don't think that's necessary, so we need to talk about that. So, and my last question, fleet safety, are you familiar with fleet safety? They advertise that they sell police vehicles, and you can spec them fully outfitted with all the equipment that you need. And I'm wondering if that should be another source for us to check.
Actually reached out when I did my bids, Brandon, are you familiar with Brandon on 75 near, I believe they're near Fury? I reached out to them as well, did not receive any bids because they are one of the ones that do that type. They'll do the whole package, but they did not bid.
I'd like us to check this.
What's the name of that?
Fleet safety, I'll send you the,
Okay. Where are they located?
I don't know.
Because that plays into it as well when you start doing trade-ins, when you start looking at some of these other ones, you know, at distance locations.
Well, whether they'll take they may not.
Yeah, that's
I'm just
what
saying that
happens
could be
too.
an option for us. I just think the price that it's costing us and what you explained to us, that there's very few people out there that will outfit these vehicles in a timely manner. But we're gonna spend about $7,000 to do that, so this might be another option for us to get what we need without the cost. I don't know, it's worth it.
Okay, sure, I'll be glad to talk to them when I
Yeah.
find out the location.
Debbie Dalhouse Curtis. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody, other Debbie? Okay. Debbie Chu got to go first. How about that? Demarest Lane. Just for my understanding, is this something that the Georgia Municipal Association can help us with? Did they do a bulk pricing, bulk
Actually, when you
purchase?
start bidding these out, they go by they don't state it as a government contract price, but that's really what it is.
That's what I was
Because
wondering.
I had reached out to a local person at Newmark for some additional vehicles, and just for instance, I reached out for the truck and some different items, and I'll just read this just to give you an idea. It talks about it's the police pursuit package and the F-150 4x4. I'm just going to read you what I have here. Was $34,975. And he said, like the Chevy Tahoe, that would be comparable to this. You'd have to go to a 2021 model, and there's currently no pricing available for the 2020s. Because originally we were going to do another Dodge vehicle that was not the Durango, but they're not available until 2021 as well. But he says the Tahoes in the past have been to the mid to upper 30s. And that's not including being outfitted. The Ford Explorer is $36,510. That's with the police pursuit package. The Expedition, which is not pursuit rated, is $41,500. So you start looking at some of these other models. Yes, you have other options, and we did look. The chief had gone and test drove some of these other models, and for the price, the Dodges were our best bang for the buck to give us the engines, and even though you're saying the reliability is not good, Vaughn has not had any issues with his vehicle, and he drives it every day. So just to give you an idea of what's going on with that.
Did she answer your question, Ms.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mack?
Yes. Dan McAfee, Alpine Drive. One quick comment about the engines. If these vehicles are built by Chrysler as pursuit vehicles, police vehicles, it is entirely likely that the smaller engine is the option and would actually be more expensive. So that's something to look into.
And that is true, because a lot of these pursuit packages, they have, they're able to equip, you can put more equipment in, and that's one of the issues we're having now with the Subarus. They don't have enough electrical power. If they have a traffic stop and they have their light on, they go to cue the radio, there's not enough power to run a boat. You know, and that's the other issue. When you start getting outside of these packages, you end up not having the power you need. It's not just the engine, it's the alternator to be able to have the electronics in it as well.
On that very point, I did a little research on the Durango, and it comes with the 800 amp cold cranking power battery, which is bigger than the ones in the Subaru. So some of those issues should go away. It's full-time active all-wheel drive, so we have the same access during snow emergencies as we do with the Subaru. The performance-tuned suspension, the heavy-duty brakes. There's a spotlight wiring package that, on this that is not on the normal Durangos. It comes without a third rear seat, because that's where they put the box that takes the electronic equipment. So just off the lot, it's 80 pounds lighter than the normal Durango. So that's what we get with the Pursuit package. Now, what we're also getting is a little better than an 8-inch clearance. So if we're on the back road or up at the top of Knob Drive, cleared there, cloth seats, it's the smallest infotainment screen that they make. So it's not a particularly frilly package, and you know, with $21,000 for a $39,000 list price, you know, that strikes me as we've got a good bid. And you know, I don't know about the engine question. I know there's a 6-cylinder that's available as opposed to the 8-cylinder. If the question is really one of, you know, how our police use that vehicle and all of those issues, well, that's something that we could talk about separately. But yeah, I don't know. Did you find a price difference between the two engines?
No.
No, okay.
Because
I didn't either.
again, it's complicated. It's hard to find that online because you really need to have the Pursuit, I guess, packaged.
You do,
So,
you do.
Any other comments? Questions?
how hard would it be to get a quote for the?
I can probably contact him, I have his card here, I probably can contact him and see it, but he's gonna tell me his bid's only good for 30 days, and if I have to do this again, I'm gonna have to rebid them all
Okay.
after some, you know, it's just per our purchasing policy, our hands will be tied on that.
Do we want Ella to do that, make the phone call and find out if that would be worthwhile? Or do we want to?
Yeah, I would think so. More information, the better. I guess it will probably give us the comfortable feeling that, okay, what you've done is boom. And if two of the vehicles primarily are going to be just driving around, watching Sky Valley, what's the best engine economically? You know,
And I understand where you're coming from there, but I also want y'all to be mindful of it. Economics is one thing, but you want to have something that's going to be durable in the long run too. We don't want to be here in 2 years having to replace something again because we should have got.
we've been down that road before.
Right, we don't want to be in that situation again, so that's why I want to make sure we, you know, like I said previously, we get the best bang for our buck, and if it means getting the Hennies to service these vehicles, I think that's going to be, I mean, I'll be glad to get the additional quotes for the 6s. I have a question, if the 6s are actually going to have the, what they call the Pursuit package, which is some of the stuff, Jim, that you were referring to. So I think we may be in some difference there. I can find that out and then and get back with you, I'm sure pretty shortly this afternoon,
Well-
first thing in the morning. And then we can decide if, you know, if y'all decide y'all want to do something with this so we can let this guy know.
I mean, I'm willing to have a special call meeting if we want to address this later on in the week, if the information is satisfactory.
Well, I'd like for the other two council people to be here also.
Well, if that's the case, we'll have to do, and then I'll have to rebid these then. If you want to wait till
Well,
next
let's,
week.
and I'm sorry if we have to do that, but
Which means-
for us, we're talking about something, these cars hopefully will be good for what, 4 or 5 years?
And
So we're
normally,
making a major decision, so we just want to make sure we've covered all the bases before we make that decision. David, did you have one? Sorry.
I think Bruce mentioned something about the economics of the cars and the engine. if I take everybody back, I had a 2000 Crown Vic, police package interceptor. The mileage on it was about 14 miles per gallon. It was V8 engine. The council, the mayor wanted to get better economics. Those weren't good enough, so that's when they went to the Ford Fusion, which was a four-cylinder car. Those cars worked their tails off on these hills and got 11 at best. So when those started falling apart and we started going and looking and we ended up with the Subarus, we're gonna have an economical car. When I drive that car below Clayton to Gainesville or whatever on business, I get 37 miles per gallon. You can look at my display out there right now, I think it says 8 or 9. So the smaller
Sounds
engines
about
work their butts off on these hills. The bigger engine just, they don't struggle. When you picture a bodybuilder trying to lift a 100-pound weight, one hand on the table, it's nothing. O.P. Taylor over there struggling with it, giving it all he's got. The smaller engines just struggle, and they're not going to be economical for you. Now the new 6-cylinder, I can't vouch for that. That's, I just give you my experience and what we have.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, I just, a key
Would you
question.
state your
Excuse me, Steve Mason, Pleasant Mountain Drive. A key question is whether the D6 comes equipped with enough alternator package that you can provide the amperage that you need for all the add-ons for the vehicle.
I think that's it.
I think
Valid
that's different. I
question.
think that's one of the
Yeah.
things.
And what's the reliability of that?
Citizen Neil Howard, 229 Pleasant Mountain Drive. Seems to me, from hearing this, and you all know, time is of the essence. And I think a lot of research has gone into this. And I think a lot of input from our police chief and other policemen and I'll use a personal example. When I have a Jaguar, okay, and it's supercharged, and I don't drive that fast, maybe 70 miles an hour on the highway. But when I need, I've been in a situation where I needed immediate response. And I couldn't have had that in any other car I had. I've had Cadillacs and that Jaguar with that horsepower, I hit that thing and I was out of the situation that could have been a multi-car accident in no time. So we're talking about police, they're out there, their lives are in danger, they're responsible for keeping the peace and catching the bad guy and all that, and I don't believe in pursuit, chasing, and I think most police departments have given that up. You got a radio, you have other agreements with other police departments and sheriffs and so forth, so I would hope that our police would do that responsibly. But I speak for the horsepower. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Look, Carol, I didn't see you back. Go ahead.
Carol Robinson, Alex Mountain Drive. I've listened to all the arguments and don't know a lot about cars, but we did a lot of research when we bought my Volvo. And I've got a 4-cylinder. We were concerned about whether or not it would have the horsepower to do the mountains, to get up to Alex Mountain Drive. It's got way more horsepower than what I ever need. And let's face it, we're not Atlanta, we're not Chicago, we're not any big city. The light pursuits that we might have here are limited. We need the horsepower to be able to go up and down the mountains, sure. But I agree with Ed that I think we need to do some more investigating and get the best bang for the buck. And if we don't need the real super duper gobble the gasoline engines, then I think maybe we ought to scale it down. And I would urge you to consider to do some more research on this.
And on that, I don't think we're that far apart on where we want to go. And it's just not us up here saying this is us. We get phone calls, and we want to make sure that as council people, we're representing everyone and not just our opinions. And like I say, I don't think we're that far apart, but there are some things that obviously are on people's minds. And if we can quell that, and we may be right where we need to be, but just a little more research if we would appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Debbie McAfee, Alpine Drive. Are the police package and the pursuit package the same thing? And adding to that, these cages that go in these packages, how many times in the last 5 years have we had to have someone put in a cage and taking the cage or whatever for a dog? And to Carol's point too, we're not Atlanta, so my own comment.
Thank you, ma'am. Did you need to respond to that?
The one thing is with, I'm looking here at these specifications on this, I just wanted to
While she's
give you a
looking that up,
price.
I think we've had that discussion in prior administrations and councils, and the vehicle that we did buy, I think originally was programmed to have a cage in it. Once they got to see what they could do with the vehicle, I think they decided that they needed the gun rack wouldn't work with the cage, and so they didn't do the cage. In my mind, if we have a need to arrest someone, we should have a vehicle that we can transport them in, but we don't need four. So the idea is maybe we decide which vehicle to do it for and to go with one.
Oh, you can't really, when you got a department, we got 5 people, 4 right now. Each man has his own car, because you can't have an officer out there making that arrest and not being able to carry him in that vehicle. The other officers, he's there on duty by himself. The other officers at home, the guy that's got the cages sitting at home, you can't just call him in. And the county's not coming in and hauling our prisoners for us. So each vehicle, outside of the chief vehicle, each vehicle needs to be equally equipped.
So in the last couple of years, how many times have we had to?
Oh, several, 10 or less, usually out on the highway. The one arrest that I had was a felony warrant out of Macon County, and by God's grace, Dillon PD came to back me up because there was firearm involved. And he said, I guess you want me to take this one down because you don't have a cage. Would you please?
And you stopped him for speeding?
I stopped him because we had a felony lookout
Cool.
out of Macon County. Anyway,
Right, those are good points.
we all need to have that capability with us when we're there.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
a quick question, Lynn Decker.
Do you ever carry animals, hurt animals, anything like that, where the cage would be helpful, useful, necessary? Cows?
Small animals in traps have gone into them, yes. But that's not what that cage is for. They would actually be in a smaller,
We don't have anybody, of course, that does animals.
no.
Any other comments and questions?
Just as an example, the cargo barrier is only $348. So it's not that much.
This is what we're calling a cage.
A cage,
It's
right.
300.
Because all it is, it's just something that goes behind between the front seat and the back seat is what it is. So it's not that expensive.
I read, but something when there was like 900 or something, what was that?
That is your LED lights. That's what's so expensive.
That
That's
was like
what's,
on page 4.
that one was 9 on that page, on page 4. On the Durango, there's another one here for the for the radio that is 7 something.
Okay, well, for $300, it's not a.
It's not an issue, right, right. Because see, just the installation of the equipment is around $1,200. So it is labor intensive.
Any other questions or comments? I'm going to call for the vote. All that approve this motion signify by.
I'm sorry. Was there an amendment to the motion?
No, I did not hear an amendment.
Well, let's talk about that.
Do we have to pass or disapprove the
I guess
original
based on
amendment?
further investigation, we would table the motion to approve.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Say again.
Bruce, say it again.
It was just based on getting some more information, we table the approval process until everybody feels like, okay, we're all on the same page
Okay.
and in agreement.
Do I have a second?
Okay, and if it's,
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
if we do that and we learn from Ella that there's no monetary savings for a 6-cylinder engine, would we be prepared to make the vote at that point?
Yeah, I think that's, isn't that?
I think we're trying to rush this
That's
thing a
where we're
little
going.
bit, though. But I'll leave that up to you two.
Are you going to put a time limit on anything if you table it, and so that you can accept these bids before they expire, or just
Ella, you're
throwing
gonna
it
make
to
the
the
phone
wind?
call, see where we're at.
I can make the phone call and see where we're at, and if y'all decide y'all want to do this, we could do what's today, Tuesday, we could do a special call meeting on Thursday.
In the meantime, talk to the,
Yeah, I'll
to
get something
Franklin and
right.
ask them if they'll
Yeah.
give us a week's extension to contact us. At the same time, hopefully
Well,
give us a price on the smaller engine.
Yeah, he'll be able to give me something today, so I don't think there's really any need to delay it. We either are going to at this point or not, so.
Okay.
So the amended motion reads, well, how does the amended motion read? Ms. Blandon, do you have that? What the amended motion, how does it read?
There wasn't an amended motion, it was just wanting to table that until.
That was that's the motion, amended
Right.
motion. Just to table it until further information is
given.
provided, okay? Is that all right with y'all? Okay?
That works for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Now what about the next item, which is the bid for awarding the Ram 1500 Classic Street Cab Crew 4x4? Do I have a motion to accept this bid?
So moved.
Second? We have to have that before we can discuss it.
I'll second that.
Okay, now discussion.
Do we need to do the same thing with the truck, or?
Well, the good news with the truck, from what I was able to read, this particular truck that we're talking about is one of the best in terms of ratings, and so that's a positive thing. And the only other question I would have is whether we need the V8 or the 6-cylinder. The 6-cylinder is rated at 20 miles per gallon in the city, whereas the V8 is rated at 15. And you're talking 300 horsepower even with the V6, which I would think would be more than adequate to get us up and down the hills and has pretty good pickup. So that's my suggestion would be that we do the same with this in terms of what kind of, well, first off, can you get the Pursuit vehicle?
Yeah, the truck, I doubt you would want to do a V6 in it, because I don't think it's going to give you enough power, but I can check and see. I don't think it's,
It's 290, that's pretty good horsepower.
yeah.
I had several phone calls in reference to the police truck questioning why we needed one. Could you explain that to us, David, please.
As y'all know, a lot of what we do is outside
Can
of
you come up
traditional
here?
police work.
Yeah, David, could you come up so they can hear you? Thank you, sir.
I'll give you my address. David Edwards, I live down in Rankin Gap. As y'all know, a lot of what we do is not traditional police work. A lot of times we have to carry stuff that goes in our cars and kind of makes messes and stuff, so we've been wanting a truck for a good long while. Last year, we also started a wild hog control program. City got us a trap, POA and Country Club bought us another trap to augment our program. We don't have a way to move that trap around. I actually bring my truck and trailer in to move it. So there's that, plus getting around better in the storms and all. The truck is just better suited for that. Every department, just about everywhere you go right now, has got at least one truck. Clayton's got a truck, Tacoa's got trucks, Atlanta's got trucks. It's just very, very utile.
And you also, when you're setting up barriers and when we're having some of these events, you carry up
Exactly.
tables and all that.
We actually have to pull James's crew to haul our barricades and cones and all that. Just so much more we could do with that, and it would still function as a police vehicle.
So you could do traffic stops with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments?
How many people do you carry in the truck? Dave?
I'm sorry?
How many people will the truck carry?
It'll be a full-size four-wheel or four-door truck. The one officer in it, as a general rule, with the cage, you could probably put two in the back seat. So conceivably 4, maybe even 5 if you're not in a custody situation, if you're just transporting 4 or 5.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I forgot what the motion was. Was this to accept it, or was this, or we have we amended this one also?
10 and 11, we're gonna table for further information.
Okay, you'll need to make a motion
Yeah,
to
make a
amend
motion.
it to table.
So moved.
I make a motion that we table both 10 and 11 to get the same information on the engines
Okay.
option, if it's an option.
Okay.
And we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Okay. Item number 12, the agreement with Sky Valley Scaly Mountain Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department for 2020. Ellen, you want to talk about that?
This is just the agreement that we have with the Sky Valley Scaly Mountain Fire Department, and as it states, the amount is $88,166.88. This is something we've been doing for several years now. I know SDS may change some of this at a future date, but this is something that we have been paying for several years, and it is I believe it's 1.5 mils is what it is set up to be.
Do I have a motion? Do we have a motion on this? Did we do a motion?
Yes, please.
I make a motion.
I would like, second.
Okay, discussion.
Just to add to what Ella said, if we're successful with SDS, I think we'll get about 2/3, about 60,000
That's 60
back from the county, which is appropriate, because we pay taxes, the county should be paying for our fire service. I don't know if ideally we'd like to get the whole amount, but I don't know if we can do that. We'll ask for it.
Did you all understand what Ed said? Okay? Any other comments?
I think this is something that the last council discussed and approved and set up. It's a little bit more money than it's been in the past, simply because Scaly Mountain is going to hire a person to do some of the paperwork so that the volunteers can do other things that volunteers like doing better. And I don't have a problem with
Firefighting, yes.
that. get the paperwork done right, and you keep the volunteers busy doing fire-related work. So that's the only difference.
Any other discussions? Questions, comments? All right, all in favor of this motion?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now we're on to other business, which is the public forum and general comments. The floor is now open. Okay, great. Well, then I make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Go. You first.
Oh, you said, do I hear them?
Yeah. Okay, first and second, by all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all,
Hey,
thank you all.
Neil, remember, we're rookies.
We're rookies. We are rookies.